Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Schools and Education meeting for November. My name is Patricia Larry, and Chair of the committee. To my left is Markowitz, Vice Chair. We are just waiting on our presenter, so give us a few minutes.
We have
5 minutes.
Who is the attendee?
Teresa, I don't know. Okay. Just give us a few minutes for our presenter to show. Thank you. Hold on. Hi, Therese. As I'm waiting for our presenter to show, I would just, could you text what school you're,
Put in the chat.
yeah, put in the chat what school you're from and maybe what you would like to hear. So maybe when our presenter comes, you can see and maybe just tailor it to that.
A non-A. Mysterious. Oh, that might be Markowitz.
No, Okay. Hello, everyone. Patricia Laria here again. Sorry for the delay. We have our guest speaker, Michael Markowitz, here with us in the room. Thank you, Michael, for joining us. Without further ado, I would like to, you take the floor. Give us a little intro.
Okay, see, I'm not sure whether to look up at the owl or I'll look at my own screen. I'll look at my own screen.
There, that's
Thanks.
better.
Yeah, look at your.
The owl could see my graying hair. Good evening, everybody. First, thanks to Patricia and Mara for inviting me back to present this College Savings 101 PowerPoint. It's really all about protected, ways to save money for college, whether it's for your own kids or friends, or if you're a grandparent, saving that way. And it's a tremendous, tremendous program. Related to that, New York City DOE has a program, and there's a FAFSA form that we'll get to as we go through it. Let me tell you just a minute about myself before we flip over to the screen. I'm a licensed civil engineer, and I've got an MBA that doesn't count for very much these days, and have spent the last 30 years or so, gray hair is finally catching up to me, usually working as an owner's rep on big infrastructure projects in the New York metro area. Second Avenue subway, most recently the new LaGuardia program. Going back about 20 years ago, I was an advisor to the Port Authority after 9/11 on what kind of security projects they should spend money on. That gave me kind of an analyst head, but what really got me into the schools and serving on the CEC for 3 terms was my kids are now college grads, so that's how I learned about the college savings. But originally, back in the early 2000s, PS 41 asked me to get involved by running for the CEC because the mayor and chancellor at the time were playing all kinds of funding games. And Kelly Shannon, who was then the principal of PS 41, said, "Hey, somebody said Nina's dad is good with numbers, so take a look at this and let's see if it does what they say it does." Came back to a couple days later, it's like, this doesn't do what they are saying it's doing at all. And that turned into, well, how about you run for CEC and try to help us out there? So it's just a little bit about me. Let me get back over to the Zoom screen here and share my PowerPoint. One sec. So now bottom share. Just for a sound check, maybe while I'm calling this up, Patricia, if you could ask anybody who's out there in attendee land if they could speak up, make sure we could hear them and they can hear us and all that, okay?
All right, Therese Guadano, if you could speak, so we can.
She might not want to talk.
Okay, it's okay.
All right. Okay, forget it. We're gonna start.
Okay.
Well, he said he wanted a sound check.
That's okay.
He
It's
wanted
okay.
a sound check.
If they couldn't hear, they would say.
Oh, okay. And I have so many little Zoom screens in my way here. I can't find the button right now for doing.
Can you hear me? I can hear your complaint.
Excellent.
Oh, thank you.
You're loud and clear.
Say, sorry if you didn't hear me. I can hear you.
You can say it. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, the top border of my Zoom screen is covering the button I need to go to full screen mode here. So if that's big enough to see, I'll just leave it alone. We could dive right in.
I'm getting rid of this screen, okay?
That's a little shrunk, but that's okay. All right, so we covered a little bit of who I am. So let's jump into, jokingly turn this into College Savings 101, CS 101, course outline. So there's only about a dozen slides. What are we trying to get done? Not necessarily in this order: who, what, when, where, why. recent changes, and my dad's from New York, so FAFSA out of you. Federal.
He wants to show you this.
It's
Where,
okay.
how can I,
Just go on and mute them.
I can't see it because it's this thing. How is it?
So the FAFSA form, briefly, is the federal financial aid form that nearly all colleges and universities have standardized on. And even if you're a family that is in solid financial shape, I want to encourage all of you to fill these out, because colleges and universities also look at this form to see who's out there who might warrant getting a merit-based scholarship assistance also, not just needs-based. And then wrap up in Q&A. So don't be scared about the small font here. We're going to share the PowerPoint after the show with anybody who wants a copy. So let's talk about what is a 529 plan. I'll let you guys read the fine print, but I'll summarize it. So the IRS set up a 529 program named after a section of the Internal Revenue Code. There aren't many federal benefits of that, but it allows for every state to set up its own package of benefits, and it varies by state. So in New York, and I promise I'll double check this afterward tonight, had a little computer problem earlier, like the updated version of this is on the Mac, and I brought the IBM for work, so I had to reinvent some of the wheel this afternoon. But basically, about 5 years ago, when my kids were still in college, the limit of how much you could save has since gone up quite a bit, and I'll make sure to get those numbers for you. At one time, it was $5,000 per individual or $10,000 per couple, and now it's a lot higher. And again, that varies by state also. Originally, when the 529 program was set up, it was just about higher ed, college and grad school. Not just tuition, included room and board and other academic expenses. But then in 2018, as part of the first Trump administration Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which is a whole nother story, they added K-12 tuition. And additional to that, apprentice programs, student loan payments, and a rollover to an ABLE account, which is a related type of savings for expenses related to people with disabilities, not just pure education, K-12 or even higher education. And as the program rolled along, sometimes people had leftover money. So Congress added the ability to roll over remaining funds. First, you could transfer it to another member of the family. And then more recently, if there's still money left over, you could roll it over to a Roth IRA, subject to some small print, fine print we're not going to get into right now while we're just getting a feel for the big picture. The 529 plans are state specific, and it varies by state. Some states require you actually to be a resident of the state. Some give different benefits if you go to a school in that state, but the New York program is very flexible. It doesn't matter whether you go to a college or your child goes to a college in New York or not, you can still participate in the program. And depending on your family's needs, you can invest in non-New York state programs. There's some fine print on that. If you, thanks to when Cuomo was governor, if you then use the money to go to a school in New York State, there's some additional benefit that I apologize, I don't have memorized, and I know it's not on one of the slides, but there are some in-state savings / in-state school additional benefits, thanks to when Cuomo was governor. Savings in any kind of Fidelity account or Magellan could be pretty daunting, but the New York State system allows for age-based mutual funds, like a lot of us might be familiar at work with retirement-based savings account, where it's indexed toward, let's say you're 40 years old, you want to retire when you're 63. So there's a targeted mix of more aggressive stock market funds and more conservative bond or money market funds, Well, they do the same kind of thing for students. So depending on how old your child is, indexing for how many years from now that student intends to matriculate. So one of my kids is talking about grad school, has some money left in the pot, and the other one's out with a bachelor's degree and not sure going to grad school or what, maybe not. So the remaining money in one kid's fund, I then changed the index to assume she's going to go to grad school in 3 years. So it makes the mix a little more conservative because as with any of these kind of investment portfolios, you don't want to have a really aggressive mix. The market has a sour year or two, and then it's very hard for the investment to recover or use a parent to add more contributions. Next, so why do it? So this is kind of a fun and easy one. Touched on some of these already. Higher ed, college, grad school were the original ideas. And then in pretty much two big waves, they added private and parochial school K-12 tuition. So a little bit on the politics of this. One of the reasons they did that is because parents sending their kids to private schools said, oh, we're at a disadvantage compared to parents who want to send their kids to free public school. This, in a way, is a form of a school voucher to me. I think, my own politics here, I'll share. The public at large doesn't have a fiduciary duty, if you will, to help people who want to choose to go to private and parochial school. And a lot of people with my similar politics might still disagree. Regardless, the program was expanded to allow for that. We'll get into a little bit later some of the limits on what that is. Again, you can roll over college savings if a student or just an adult, as it's now expanded, has a disability or becomes disabled in the course of their lives. And last, apprenticeship programs, student loan payments, and again, remaining balances to Roth IRAs. The benefits is the big story here, which is what I consider a triple tax benefit. One, in New York, at least until recently, I've got to look this up. I left it in red because again, switching computers, forgot what the number is right now. But as of 5 years ago, you could deduct $5,000 from your state income or $10,000 as a couple from your state income. And while your federal taxes are the same, the feds set up the rules so that every state could give you a break. In our case, New York State allowed for that state deduction. So in round numbers, if your state and local taxes were, rounding it off here, just on the low side, just to prove a point, if you're in a 10% marginal New York State and New York City combined tax bracket, and you're allowed to deduct $10,000 per couple, just for setting up this account and loading it up every year, it reduced your New York State taxes by $1,000. But that's only one of the three waves of benefits. The big one, and here's where the feds kick in, is any growth in that savings account is tax-free, both on the state and the federal level. So now, let's say you're in a federal marginal tax bracket of 25%, and the account value grows by $1,000 of, let's say it's just interest in that year. Well, that's $1,000 that you don't have to pay $250 interest on. That ends up being kind of significant. It's hidden when you do your taxes, but when you go, here's bullet 3, when you go to take that money out, if it's for an approved usage, you don't pay income tax on it, as long as you're spending it on college, dorms, tuition, or those different kinds of K-12 or ABLE usages. Now expanded to include home services or academic support for kids with learning disabilities in one of the most recent expansions. So you've got this pot of money, you got a little bit of a tax break from New York for contributing to the nest egg. It grows with no tax impact, and when you take it out, it's not income either. So here's my punchline: compounding plus tax benefits compounds the benefits. So who can contribute? Basically anybody. The leading candidates are parents and grandparents, but let's say you've got a family friend who wants to contribute to your kid's college savings. They can set up their own 529 account, naming your kid as the beneficiary, and they as the contributors still get all these benefits. When it comes time to pull the money out and pay the bills, it's usually a parent or guardian, but it doesn't have to be. The government interest is just making sure that when the money came out, it went for a noble cause, as opposed to who is the for lack of a better word, executor. And they really don't care who is the bookie. They just want to know it went to the right place. And then just to make life easy, if you want to have easier bookkeeping, the payments can go straight to the school. I chose not to do that because I kind of wanted to see when I was pulling the money out, and keep a little bit of tabs on whether I was using it to pay for college expenses that were on credit cards, me making a little extra fuss. But you can clickety-click onto the New York State website and say this month's payment or this semester's payment, just send it straight to, SUNY New Paltz, whatever. Otherwise, it launders through your own hands. And just one side note, if you pay a school on a credit card, some of them have points either associated with the school or with the 529 program. So you get a little 1% a month kind of benefit for that churn, like any kind of credit card with benefits. And you also get to ride that float for a month. I'm a nerd. It's pennies, but it just sounded like fun, and ooh, I'm getting away with something. So effectively, I was paying the bills a month later. So when can you open an account? Well, here's why it's great that Mar and Patricia invited me here in November, because you can open up an account right up until December 31st of this year and get the state income tax deduction for the entire year. So let's say hypothetically, you're just learning about 529 programs. You have a child that was born sometime in 2025, maybe for the sake of argument, your family is expecting. The baby shows up on December 30th. Folks, the next day, open the account and you'll get the break for the 529 contribution for the whole year. You also, by the way, get a deduction for having a child during that tax year, even if they're born on the 30th. And if any of you know Cafe Luna on Hudson Street, I know the owners are very nice people. They actually had a baby that was born on like December 29th or 30th. So I was like in there a couple of weeks later, giving them a high five for not just being good parents, but good tax planners too. And then the last is the best time to contribute. This is once it's up and running, is as soon as you can in any future tax year, do it as early as possible, because all those compounding and tax benefit looping around, not compounding like interest, but one benefit compounding on another benefit. The longer that game goes on during a year, the more you have to show for it. So once it's set up, like what my wife and I did, is we just put this thing on an automatic payroll deduction, and it just paced out over the course of the year. The financially smarter thing to do actually would have been to make all those contributions on January 1st every year, but our home budgeting was such that contributing evenly worked well for us. So where can you set up an account? So this gets kind of muddled, and I'll keep it to the simplest part of it, which is that New York State has set up 3 choices. And again, the DOE has its own little program called Rise Up. I think I have the link for it at the end of the slide deck. If not, I'll make sure to add it later. But basically, I just looked at this and thought, oh, this is kind of overwhelming, but I'm kind of a hands-on person. So the NewYorkSaves.org website is the front end for the system that New York State administers itself. And I forgot which of the Fidelity or Magellan type companies is the one actually behind this. Oh, Vanguard, sorry. I have it right in my own slide deck there. I should read my own slides. So Vanguard actually is the engine behind the NewYorkSaves.org front end dashboard, which is very, very user friendly. If you want, you can bring in, New York State has endorsed JP Morgan if you prefer to have advisor assisted investments. And especially for families with means, there might be other complications or considerations going on. Some of the family assets might be in trusts, and you'd want to have somebody to talk to one-on-one. And I think we kind of covered the rest of it. So do check out, even if you have a family financial advisor already, do check out that NewYorkSaves.org, because it's really informative. It has a lot of how does this all work and what are the benefits about, and very, very user friendly. And also it's the primary way most people actually invest in 529 programs if they're New Yorkers. I don't know if people from other states invest in the New York program, but they're welcome to. I don't know what the numbers are. So here, again, I apologize. I'll make sure, this is updated for 25 and 26. So here, I won't belabor it, but I thought it was kind of interesting, not just because I'm a nerd, but just because it shows that Congress was really sensitive to which parts of this program worked well and which parts needed some fine tuning. Like every year or two since inception, 2018, I think it was when it first kicked off, every so often they make some modifications, including something we haven't mentioned yet, which is estate planning impacts. Something I don't know very much about at all. So take this with a grain of salt. If any of you know better, you're way ahead of me. But pretty much, aside from the 529 limits, or if you have leftover money, the Roth rollover limits, which is a whole nother kettle of fish, giving big chunks of money to family members might trigger gift taxes. And there's some estate planning involved in that. This might be more pertinent if somebody holding one of these or contributing to one of these accounts is a grandparent parking the money for a grandchild, and they're actively thinking about how to do estate planning without triggering estate taxes or gift taxes. Someday I hope to be in that position, but right now I'm just a middle-aged dad, not a grandparent saving for their hypothetical kids someday. No pressure, but not on my plate right now. There are some limits, and again, I'm sure this is out of date for 2023, probably raised it by now, of how much total you can park in one of these accounts. It's understandable because the benefits are so big that every state took a different shot at, well, what's a reasonable amount to allow the person to have all these benefits if it's nominally for education. It's not $10 million, even if they're willing to pay the gift taxes. That's too much of a break. I've got a link in here on some of the gift tax and estate tax implications if you want to read about them. I'm not an accountant, doesn't affect me. It went over my head, but it was really good reading, and the link would still help you think that through. And I had a slide in here again because we've been doing this fourth time now, I think.
Yeah.
Twice with Community Board 2 and once with the CEC. And last time I really fine-tuned this for bugs was in 2024. We'll touch on a couple of 2025 and 2026 changes that are going to matter to any of you who don't have one started already. Down in the bottom half, won't belabor it, but in the smaller font, bottom third of the slide, is a little bit of the constraints on rolling over the money into a Roth IRA. Basically, the money has to, what they call season. It's like, putting a fine wine in the basement for a while. You can't roll over any money that you contributed within the last 5 years. And the plan itself had to have been open, even if there was only 29 cents in it, for 15 years. So what they're trying to do here is keep people from laundering money through a 529 plan just so they can put more money into their Roth account. So it's like, all right, if it's legitimately saved for a long time money, at least you're thinking about it for 15 years and you didn't put the money in within the last 5, okay. And then got an excerpt again. I'll update this for the New York version of what are the contribution limits and constraints. So I'll go get this from the current tax regulation guidelines and update the slide in the next couple of days before we finalize this version 4 of the show.
Okay.
Please don't strain to read that. So a little bit about FAFSA, I mentioned before. Free application for federal student aid. A lot of details here. Again, I really encourage you to fill it out, even though you don't think you might need it. They did try to be really fair about what they considered in family assets might be available to pay for college. For example, they're not looking at parents right in the middle of the slide. No real estate holdings or IRAs or retirement funds are considered. So they, in fairness, they really just tried to look at liquidity. The last thing in the first block, please talk to a financial advisor about any family unit considerations. Didn't quite know how to say it gracefully, but families that are recombined either through divorce or remarriage. I'm not quite sure how that impacts the FAFSA form. It's like whose income counts for what. Let's say in a simple case, don't mean to be insensitive here, but just to prove a math point. Let's say the child's biological parents were not well off. There's a divorce. One of them remarried somebody who has a lot of income, but that's the child's step parent. Please talk to a financial advisor. I don't know the ins and outs of that at all, just know enough that it's tickling my brain. The last third of it is, and I apologize for updating the list, but the point, apologize for not updating the dates yet, but the gist of this is the lead time for the FAFSA form is earlier than you think. And I'll update the dates. The next to the last bubble gives you, a bullet gives you a little flavor for the lead time on that. So let's say we were looking at the show in 2024 instead of 2025, we'd have to have submitted by fall 2023 for the federal aid that started that 2023-24 school year. Effectively, they give you a break. You might not have the form in early enough to get in the school cycle for financial aid, but if you submit it by that fall or later in that fall, it actually covers counterintuitively from the beginning of that school year, which might have been a few months earlier. So if you haven't filled it out yet and your kid right now in November, hypothetically, or an older kid is a college freshman, don't worry. They effectively let you backdate the FAFSA form, and then the school would be able to look at it for next year. Very kind and generous in that regard. Last, and we'll send this out with the hot links that you guys can access from home. Got links in there for the New York Saves program that I've been plugging, the FAFSA student aid form that the DOE runs, a nice easy read about how 529 plans, and my own contact information. So that, oh, sorry, I got 3 slides left. 1 second. So
You have an exam?
yeah, because I didn't get to the slideshow button. Oh, now it is there. Well, anyway, you guys can do this on the honor system. Why are they called 529 plans? The RS code section. Who? You got educational expenses, but anyone can contribute. What? Tax advantage now includes K-12 private school student loans, which I forgot to mention. you can actually use 529 funds after undergraduate or graduate school graduation to pay down student loans. And you get all this tax benefited money without having to think, oh, I've got to go out in a tough job market and earn $1 so that after taxes it feels like 65 cents. And then I still have to pay my student loans. So then I want to focus on this because I should have hyped this up more earlier. So if your student graduates and there's still money in the account, but somehow they got through with the student loans, the 529 plan has heard your pain, and you can use the 529 plan for student loans, not just for the tax breaks of it, but again, you don't have to be paying your loans with after-tax money. When, again, the earlier the better. Where, home state versus school state, you got to look at that one at a timey. And then wrapping up here, who is this guy? Parent paying, well, used to be paying bills. Please do talk to your own financial advisor. I'm just a dad, not a CPA. And you got questions, we got answers. As if there's a Radio Shack anymore. And this is the slide for the New York City program, which I was happy enough to hear about the last time we put this show on. Somebody was here from the DOE who described it. But basically, thematically, the DOE is trying to teach parents how to be better investors on behalf of their kids. And at the time, 2 years ago, this was a pilot program they only had going at some schools, and it was for kindergarten and first grade till they figured out how to make it educational for parents of younger kids or younger parents or guardians of younger kids. I don't know that it kicked in any money. I don't know one way or the other, but for sure it was a nice supportive resource that the DOE was doing, because I guess I don't have this dog and pony show going on in every community board or school district. So the DOE has their own version of it. And with that, I thank you very much for your attention, and that's the show.
Thank you, Michael, for always being available and breaking it down for our parents that want this information. Thank you. I do have a question.
Sure.
Regarding the Roth IRA, my oldest son just graduated in December from college. There's a lot of money left over in the 529.
Well, you can transfer it to my kids. It doesn't have to be
No. He may want to go to grad school, so
okay.
that's why it's still there.
Yeah.
But what if he changes his mind? You're saying we have to wait 15 years before we can transfer that money?
It's the other way around. As long as you open the account 15 years before you try to roll it into a Roth, they could have puddled along with 29 cents.
Oh.
But they need to know that you were serious about using it for its intended purpose, and no fresh money either. So it's pretty narrow, but let's say in my family's case, we actually did start this 15 years ago. Kids are in their mid-20s now. We got it started about when they were 10, give or take.
Okay.
So there's an opportunity to roll it over later. But you could also...
You can start, you stop sharing.
Yeah, I dropped that. You could also transfer it between kids. And I don't even think you have to transfer it inside a family. It's just that maybe some second cousin 3 times removed who's going to go to college.
Oh.
As long as it stays college designated.
Who is this not for? That's my question. Who is not really benefiting? I think about people who don't have to worry about paying for school for their kids. The GI Bill, for example. Would this benefit them? It seems like if you're not spending that money on school because you don't have to.
Yeah.
That's the question.
Totally stumped. I guess the mischievous side of me is if they thought of that 14.9 years ago, even if they were gabillionaires, they could still launder money through this game for the Roth IRA benefit, even if.
But it would have to be.
They'd have had to thought of this.
Yeah.
It would have had to have thought
of it before.
earlier in advance. And
So somebody
The other-
with, you know, an older
at
kid,
the other end of it, it's a New York State tax deduction. It's not a credit. So let's look at somebody at the other end of the economic spectrum. Make believe, in our hypothetical example, that for whatever reason, the parent doesn't have income against which they're paying New York State taxes. It could be a parent with a, let's say an older in life parent whose income is exclusively from something where there's no New York State tax benefit. A retired New York State teacher has a, hypothetically here, a retired New York State teacher has a New York State pension. They stay in New York, they retire later in life. They're not paying New York State income tax. They would not see the tax benefit because it's not a tax credit that's refundable. It's a tax deduction. So you'd have to show income to then reduce it by the $5,000 individual or 10 grand.
so it's anybody who's not paying those taxes, which is also a lot of military and municipal workers. And
Yeah, it's a bigger
I mean,
pool than
there's-
I'm realizing now.
Yeah,
You have to have, so at either end of the extreme, you either don't need to pay for college, didn't think of it 14 years ago, or you don't have the New York State income against which to take the deduction. However, you still get to put the money in and watch it grow tax-free and pull it out without paying taxes on it when you pull it out.
if you do it on time.
Yeah, but you lose one of those three big pillars, which is the day one tax break. Nobody's asked me that
I
before.
stumped
I
him.
didn't
Yeah,
want
that's
to
a
fake
good
it here,
one.
even though I'm kind of
Yeah.
But think about it more. There may be other people that,
Yeah.
and think about what would benefit them. Maybe, I don't know if they're not paying for college, but yeah, I guess nothing.
Now you really got my head spinning here. You could have somebody who's domiciled in New York, but they're not a legal resident, so they're not paying New York State taxes in the first place.
Okay.
There's all kinds of stuff that, because my normal orientation is for the average Joe or the average Jane, but
Yeah.
there are all kinds of people who either might not have an onshore account. Let's say you're a European person or South America, whatever. You're living here and you're not making income here. I don't know what their tax
And you can
situation
use
would
this for
be.
schools overseas, yes or no?
That I'm not sure.
Oh,
That I'm not.
Oh, really?
Another good question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's especially
I'll
relevant
look
in
into
this day
that.
and age.
Sure. Yeah, really.
All right. You have any more questions, Barb?
I do.
Oh, wait. Hold on. I have,
Mara's killing me. I'm
all right, wait. I got an easy one for you. What if your kid lives off campus
No
and you
problem.
want to pay for that campus?
That's
The
eligible.
yeah, it's eligible.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be on campus.
Okay.
And it doesn't
There
have
was
to be
one funny
university housing.
exclusion we ran into. I don't know if they got rid of this. They wouldn't let us pay for a computer.
That's,
It's like, it had to
Yeah.
be like curriculum related. It's like,
You can pay for books,
yeah, for a while. I'm going
room
to
and
double check
board.
now that we're talking about that.
room and board, but yeah.
Whether,
And housing
laptops
off
now
campus
eligible,
that
but-
gets covered. Yeah.
There are, separate from this, I know Apple runs a really good deal every fall for,
Kids
if you're a
going.
student, you get a discount on buying a new MacBook.
Yeah.
military get those too.
All right. I know that we have some attendees that might have questions, but I have another one. The FAFSA, you keep saying, you encourage every family, no matter, what income, that they should fill it out. I know that when the boys were in high school, I remember it was the junior year that they had those meetings with the families.
Right.
And they were encouraging every family about college planning, that you should fill it out now.
For needs-based, but the system will still absorb the information again, sometime in the fall. Effectively, it backdates it 2 or 3 months, and then the
Oh.
school would look at it the following year.
Okay.
Because it does take them a whole year to go through their evaluations. And that's another thing that might affect families, God forbid, going through a divorce while the kid's in college and the parent's financial situation changes. But the reason that I cited first is the merit-based scholarship, even if it's not needs-based, just because schools don't run around with super organized financial aid offices.
Right.
The way there's a student in a financial condition is you're in that FAFSA system. But it also serves as a database, even if it's not families in financial need.
Yeah. So we encourage every family to fill it out. Yes.
It's like wearing a seatbelt in a car, even if you don't plan on getting in an accident.
Yeah. So those are my questions. Do we have any questions from the attendees? You can raise your hand and I can unmute you so you can ask your questions if you have any.
You're not asking me if I.
Oh, you have a, all right.
Does the public have a question?
Please, you can hold on. Okay, what about Mark? Go on, Mark. You have some more questions to stop Michael.
So is there any avenue to move the money somewhere else? What if you don't want to use it for education? What if you want to get out of there before the 15 years and you don't want to roll it over to the Roth? Like, what are the options? Would it make more sense if we were to maybe advocate for these things we haven't thought about, and so that those families can also participate, but be able to use the money for other things for their kids?
Sure. And it wouldn't even have to be for kids at that point. I don't have it memorized. I'll look it up. If you pull the money out for a non-approved purpose, and quite candidly, I got.
And you can't do that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got a bill from the IRS that says 3 years ago, you used this money for an unapproved purpose, so now you have to pay income tax on it and there's a penalty.
What?
And I'm now in the process of putting together college bills from 2 years ago because for 1 year out of the 15 I was playing it, the IRS decided to challenge what I actually used the money on. So I should actually pull up that ding letter. Easy research. It's like, okay, so it was taxable income that year and there was a penalty for pulling it out earlier for an unapproved use. 10% or 10% of the growth. I forgot what it is, but I'll look that up and add that to the follow-up for this. So it's not locked away forever, but if you take it out, some of the tax advantage for having been on the game.
Oh. You were saying that.
Funny you asked that. My wife was like, "What is this bill?" It's like, no, it's baloney.
Whenever we would get the email from the college that, the tuition bills due, we just, log into the 529 and then have them issue a check to the school and mail it directly to them.
It's so much easier, but I like watching it go through my credit card account. There's a lot of fuss.
You get the points.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a heck of a lot, but I kind of had fun with it.
Yeah,
and I also have, now that they've graduated, I should get like an airline miles card. I've got a credit card from, I'm not sure if this will
Don't put your credit card number on there.
Oh, okay. Nobody write this.
Oh my goodness.
So Barclays card, every time I use
we can see it.
All right, there we go.
All right.
Every time I use my Barclays card, my 1%, 2% kickback goes into the kids' Promise savings account.
Oh.
So I don't get miles. My wife's got the Amazon points on her card, and I've got the Promise kickback.
There you go.
So if my credit card bill was $2,000 a month, 1% that's $20 just for walking around town.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
We didn't think
Some
that.
piles were a little bit more.
We didn't think of that.
And not for nothing. As long as I'm thinking about that, okay. I'll
What do you got? Another card? Cover up your cards.
Yeah, okay. Covered up. Okay.
Oh my
so
God. Wait. Here.
No. I've got my fingers in the right place. So for what it's worth, I got one card for recurring expenses.
I can see. Oh no, I can't see the number. Okay.
One card for recurring expenses and one card for walking around town. The walking around town card every so often, like once every 2 years, will be subject of identity theft. That's never happened on the one that I use for recurring expenses. So my point is, if somebody swipes your credit card number or you're a victim of identity theft on the card I treat like cash. You don't have to go to 20 different websites and give them your new credit card number.
Yeah.
That one has never gotten
Oh,
poached or faked before.
okay.
Until
And
you
the
showed
very
it
last
to the
thing that-
world.
Until you show,
Yeah.
oh, they're gone. There's one person left. They're
For all you
fine.
participants, I know who you are. So to that end, debit cards that are tied to checking accounts look like credit cards, but have different protections associated with them. The banks have gotten better over time at if somebody swipes your identity off of a debit card that looks like a credit card, making you whole again, but it's still access to all the money in the checking account. That's your money. That, you know, I've been through this once. One of my kids was through it once. It's a little less protection involved than when it's on a credit card.
All right.
Even though it still says MasterCard or Visa on the front, that's like the organizations that handle the transaction. They're not the ones at risk.
Okay, understood. Thank you. That was
Sure.
very enlightening. And I learned
Okay,
something new
next-
this time from your presentation.
Well, thanks to Mara's killer question.
I give good questions.
Yeah.
I thought this was a night off from my day job. This is harder.
Okay, so tell me,
We're about at 7:30, by the way.
well, wait, the first time you came, we wrote a reso encouraging, remember the first time you presented?
I don't remember that.
We wrote a resolution encouraging the DOE. Oh, you don't remember? It was, where is it? College Financing 101, 529 accounts in FAFSA. Yeah, it's up on our website. We sent it to,
Very cool.
yeah. It was requesting the New York City DOE, which has now been renamed as New York City Public Schools, to provide informational materials and briefing sessions on College Financing 101, 529 accounts and FAFSA. But now you're saying that they have this now.
Yeah, that was my last slide. Effectively, they
They
maybe
did,
not in response to us, but
they did,
I'll check for all of you what the status of that program is.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah. So that,
the
so,
DOE did take this on.
yeah, we did this back in 2022. Yes.
And
That's when we
yeah,
did that
I'll
resolution.
check when that,
Okay,
not when the office started. It's hard to do a history dig on stuff like that. But at least I'll find out for all of you what became of that program and what its current state is now.
yeah, that would be, yeah. So
Sure.
thank you so much. This was
Always a lot
very
of fun.
helpful. Yes. Yeah, so, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
And thank you out there in TV land.
All right. They had no questions and the other person left.
They got what they needed.
They got what they needed. And this will be provided. You said we can send it, we can email it to them
Yeah,
as well.
give me a couple days to research the loose ends and then I'll save it as a PDF.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll send it to them. And plus this will be available on YouTube as well,
Yeah.
this presentation.
You're
Well, I
famous.
should
You're
have,
famous.
I should have dyed my hair.
You're famous. We do have a second agenda item, but we've now postponed that till January because,
Unforeseen circumstances.
yes.
Okay.
Oh,
But
well.
you're,
Everybody
Thank you.
gets to get on with whatever else they wanted to do for the evening then.
yeah.
Right.
So I'm gonna make a motion to
Second,
end the meeting.
Thirded?
we don't even have a quorum.
Well, all right, I'm ending the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.